Hi! Within this lecture, we're going to discuss how we can find the vulnerabilities that are hidden inside our Metasploitable machine that we have installed in the previous lecture. So I have now Metasploitable and Kali Linux running on the NAT network. So we gathered the local IPs from NAT network in the previous section. So my Metasploitable has the IP of 10.02.5 and my Kali machine has the IP of 10.02.15. Of course, we can get it from NetDiscover as well. In fact, in order to find the vulnerabilities, we're going to use Nmap, but before we do that, I want to make sure that my two computers are on the same network and can see each other. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ping the other machine. So I can ping google.com, So we did it before. We did it to test to internet connection, right? So I can just run ping google.com and see that I have a real connection. I can send a request and I can get responses back from Google. And I can do that to Metasploitable machine as well. So since I have Metasploitable on the same network, I can just ping 10.02.5 to see if I can send a request and get a response back. And don't be confused. We can use this Nmap, we can use this vulnerability thing in the outside network as well. If this wasn't a Metasploitable, but rather a web server in another another IP, then I could have just pinged that IP and I could have run Nmap scan to that IP as well. But since they are on the same NAT network, I have to be sure that they can see each other. So if I ping 10.02.5 right now, it will send some request and it will get a response back from Metasploitable. So I'm now certain that Metasploitable can be reached from Kali Linux, and in fact I can do vice versa from Metasploitable as well. So it can ping the Kali Linux. And Metasploitable actually runs a web server in here, okay? So if I go to my browser and try to browse 10.02.5, then I will see a web page, okay? So this is like Apache server that we have run in our Kali Linux. And here we see some pages like phpMyAdmin, Matilda, DVWA. If you click on one of them, it will take you a website called Matilda, for instance, and this is a vulnerable execution. So we're going to try and find the vulnerabilities that are hidden inside of these web pages. And you can browse those web pages from Metasploitable with ls and cd commands as well. So let me open Zenmap one more time, and if you remember, we did it back in the Net Discovery section when we tried to gather the information regarding our own network. But this time I'm going to target 10.02.5 rather than my whole network, okay? I'm going to run an intent scan. And again, you can run this attack on outside networks as well. So this section is not dedicated to network attacks. We can use the same techniques for outside network attacks as well. And I believe this is now getting some information. It's pinging the 10.02.5 and it's trying to find the open port and an extensive information regarding those open ports. As you might remember, we got the versions, we got some explanations regarding those versions, and we got some possible vulnerability explanations as well when we did quick plus scan. So maybe you may want to pause the video and get back after it completes. So now it's completed for me, and as you can see, I got a lot of results back from Metasploitable. The next thing to do is actually read the whole thing, okay? If you deal with a real penetration testing, then you can thoroughly read this and try to get some real information out of this. As you can see, we discovered a lot of open ports and we have them in here. So we have like 3206, 80, 5900, 21, 23, 53, and at this point you don't know what those ports are, right? So I have showed you a summary of ports before, but it was nothing. You have to dig deeper in order to understand what's going on. And you have those information down here. As you can see, now we have the port, we have the state, whether it's open or closed, we have the service, and most importantly, we have the version as well. So we have a running FTP service in here, and we have the version of VSFTPD, and as you can see, there is a warning here. It says that anonymous FTP login allowed. So it gives us a possible vulnerability to exploit actually. So since this allows us to connect anonymously, we can use any FTP connection to just hack into those machines. So here we have other information as well, like we have a telnet going on, we have a mail server in here, and we have some vulnerabilities regarding to that server as well. So basically you need to read all of this and then come up with an idea, come up with a port to dig deeper again, and then try to exploit those vulnerabilities to gain unauthorized access. That's what hackers do. And we're going to do that in the following lectures. We're going to Google one of the vulnerabilities, one of the versions, and try to gather some information from some exploit databases and from Rapid7 webpage that we have seen before as well. So this gives you a lot of information, and this is not generally the case since Metasploitable has a lot of vulnerabilities built in intentionally. We have a lot of results, but generally you will have less and you will have less chance to hack into. So let's stop here and continue with our first hacking in the next lecture.